Hi everyone, welcome to the live stream. We have a special guest today, and of course we have Sahbi, Papimento, and Ajax with us. Peter, welcome. Um, Welcome on the show. We wanted to have you actually last week because we wanted to talk about Rulli. You're a big Villareal fan. Your specialty is La Liga. You are a TV commentator, if I'm not mistaken. You have your own podcast as well, La Liga Loca, if I'm not mistaken as well. So you know a lot about football. You've been doing this for a long time. You're passionate about football. And I thought, you know what? We need to have you on the show. We need to talk about Rulli. Let's see how good he actually is. So maybe you have an opinion on this. My question to you first, before we start talking about Rulli, is Villareal fan from Norway.
Yeah,
How, Peter? Explain
it's
that to me.
it's quite unusual. So I understand that you asked the question, and it's all based on coincidences, really. Because it was back in 2002, I was 15 years old, and I won some tickets for the Norwegian Cup final. And that was the first time that I went to the capital. I'm from a small village in the western part of the country, so that was pretty huge for me to go to the capital and go to the national team stadium and to watch the cup final. So I invited a friend of mine, and back in 2002, 2003, when we couldn't agree on something, we always did the rock scissors paper, no matter what. So we went to a big shopping mall in the city of Oslo. We won a lot of money on the lottery, enough to buy two football shirts. So we went to the football shop, and we picked the shirt we thought was the nicest and the ugliest. And the ugliest one was the Villareal shirt, and I lost the rock scissors paper, and here we are.
Really? Is that the story?
The shirts were so ugly. The color, the yellow color, it burns in your eyes.
I was hoping for another story, to be honest. All right.
And the first game I saw was the first one that Martin Palermo played after he missed three penalties in one match. And the third game I saw was when Martin Palermo he celebrated a goal at the Villareal stadium, and he went behind the goal, and the tribune collapsed over his leg, and the leg broke and out for 9 months.
Whoa!
And he fell in love with the club ever since.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had to.
All right.
I thought a Riquelme story was coming or something like that, but
we thought, Riquelme used to play there. Anyways, all right. Peter, we're gonna start firing some questions your way with Rulli. I'm gonna give Papimento, Sahbi, and Ajax a moment to ask you a question. Maybe there will be some questions from the community as well. So let's start with Rulli first. Ajax, let me start with you. Any questions for Peter regarding Rulli, the new signing?
First of all, Peter, I very much enjoyed that story. It's not the usual story how people fell in love with the club. That's awesome. The new signing for us, the goalkeeper. We really needed a new goalkeeper. But for me, I want to know a little bit more about his personality. What kind of person is he? And also mentality-wise as a footballer, Can you tell us something about, the total package that Rulli is?
Yeah, he's Argentine, but he doesn't play like he's from Argentina because as the World Cup went by, we got to know Dibu Martinez as the crazy goalkeeper with the mentality and going one-on-one with the penalty takers. Rulli is not like that. He is more calm, but he is what should I say, a silent leader, because almost every team that he has played for, I'm not 100% sure about how Montpellier played when he was there, but in Real Sociedad and in Villareal, which I've seen a lot, obviously, he is perfect. He's the perfect goalkeeper when you want your team to play out from the back because he's so good with the ball at his feet. And I know that it's been a modern football type of thing that the goalkeeper needs to be good at his feet, and we kind of forgot that his main job is to be good with his hands and to stop balls going in behind him. But he has a personality to take that responsibility. He is not the goalkeeper who is 2 feet or 2 meters tall out in the area and being dominant in his own area. He's not that kind of guy. But he is a silent leader. But I'm not that familiar with the Ajax way of playing. I know that in eredivisie matches, in most of the games, they control the ball and they have a dominant style of play. So in those kind of matches, he will be a very good asset. But I'm not sure whether he will cope in the big matches and in the Champions League, etc. That will show. He did with Villareal, because he was the hero in the Europa League final against Manchester United, scored his penalty and saved the next one.
Oh, yeah, I remember yes.
But of course, people also remember his performance against Liverpool in the return leg of the first leg and the return leg of UEFA Champions League semi-finals last season. He didn't cope with the pressure then. So sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit, to quote Gennaro Gattuso.
Oh, really?
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, and about the style of play of Ajax, up until 6 months ago, we like to play possession football, so that suits us well. But we're having a little bit of a rough time at the moment, playing out from the back. But already in the 2 matches that he was, in the squad, you could see he is quite calm on the ball. And that's what I liked personally. He didn't have too much to do with in the saving area, like making saves. But the calmness that he had distributing the ball, and that looked quite good. So that sounds good what you're saying. That's what I mentioned also.
Yeah. So look, Sahbi, if you have any questions in Papimento, I'll give it to you as well.
Yeah, of course I have questions. I mean, this is the opportunity to ask questions. So thanks a lot, Peter, for being available. For me, the question, well, they are more molded. What is his weak spots? I mean, we saw you already mentioned the good things about him, but what is his weak spot? And next to that, Ajax plays with a pretty young team, so our backline is quite young. How is his coaching style in terms of that? Does he coach a lot of defenders in front of him, or is he more of a silent, as you said, and doesn't really involve himself with the defenders?
I think that the question is really good. I think the answer is shifting from game to game depending on how the climate is and what the main focus for the Ajax coach and what kind of opponent they meet. Because in Villareal, he had Raúl Albiol, which is 37 years old, and Pau Torres, which is 26, and played in Villareal since he was 19. So he had 2 very good and experienced defenders in front of him. So in those games, he didn't have to be that shouting leader and being active with his hands and pointing, and because that pretty much went automatically. It wasn't needed. It went automatically. But you also had some games where some less experienced player come in, like Jorge Cuenca and Aisa Mandi, he's 29, I think, but he's not used to play in a team like Villareal. And in those games, you saw that he was more active. Of course, the results and the amount of conceded goals were higher when Pau Torres and Raúl Albiol did not play. I don't know if that is Rulli's fault. But he's been used to playing in La Liga, which is of course a league which suits him well in terms of the culture and the language. Of course, he is, as far as I know, pretty comfortable with the English language. But of course, when he goes to a different country, he needs to learn those basic Dutch type of words that he needs to shout, whether the defense has to be a little bit further back or go up and press high. But those words should be pretty comfortable for him to learn. And of course, it depends on what the Ajax coach wants him to do.
Absolutely. Papimento, you can ask a question too.
Peter, my question was, it felt all so easy to get Rulli. What is the reason that Villareal let him go so easily, and was actually, in my opinion, such a low transfer fee if he was a indispensable player for the squad?
Yeah,
important player for the squad.
Yeah, I was also very surprised because He's going to Ajax partly because of Martin Stekelenburg and Marco Pasver being 38 and 39. And the reserve goalkeeper of Villareal, Jose Manuel Reina, he's 40. So he's going from one place with an old guy behind him to another place where two experienced goalies can, of course, teach him things and push things. But yeah, he was the main goalkeeper by far. He was the first choice in every game. Of course, Pepe Reina, former Barcelona player, Napoli, Liverpool, Spain international. Of course, he has the experience to play those games in January now. But you see that Villareal is playing in 1 hour against Real Madrid in Copa del Rey, and the second goalkeeper now is a young Swede that is playing I think it's his 4th game as a senior professional. So they need to go out and find a replacement. And I'm also a bit, not shocked, but surprised that they let Rulli go before the replacement came in. I see that they are being linked now to Dominik Livakovic, the Croatian goalkeeper that was very good for Dinamo Zagreb and for Croatia in the World Cup. So I guess that Villareal will somehow come strengthened out of it. But of course, when you see it now, I've seen some different figures. I think the transfer fee was about 8 million euros. Is that the same as you?
Yeah, 8 million fixed. Yeah, 8 million fixed and 2 million variable, so 10 in total.
Yeah, of course. And Rulli is 30 years old, so he can be a goalie for 10 more years. So so as of now, I think Ajax is the winners by far.
Yeah.
So Villareal did us a favor, basically.
Yeah.
Peter, I wanted to ask you 2 questions, basically, based on the answers that you gave on the panel. First of all, the last one regarding the money. We will touch upon Danjuma as well, because he's being linked heavily more with PSV right now, because they just, Madueke just went to Chelsea. So it seems like that's a logical choice. But my question is, going back to Rulli, is there a financial consideration involved for Villareal? Are they in need of money? Because it seems that way to me. If you look at what you're saying, you're surprised about Rulli. And I also read about Danjuma that he earns a lot, basically, for Villareal in terms of salary. So maybe he can go on loan or something like that. Is there something going on that we should know about?
Not that I'm aware of, because La Liga as an organization is very transparent with what the salary cap of every team is, if they have gone beyond or if they have more to use. Villareal is not in the situation of all the story of Barcelona last summer when they needed to sell all of their audiovisual rights for 20 years for a cheap amount of money to get Robert Lewandowski up front. Villareal is not in that kind of position, but they are known of being a silent worker on in the transfer market. When they buy players, it's very common that the journalists around the club, they get to know it just maximum 1 day before the signing is made official. They don't leak to the press. They don't feel the need to get those mechanics going because they are fond of and they believe in their style of doing things. They think that the motivation of going to Villareal, going to La Liga is a big motivation itself. They don't need this the media hype to get the agents, etc., to be on their side. So as a supporter, I feel pretty confident that there will be a goalie before the end of January. I'm also confident that if Danjuma goes, there will be a replacement for him. But in those, we can switch to Danjuma now, if that's not wrong by me.
Go ahead.
Villareal are pretty much very good set in the offensive positions. They have Alex Baena, which is the shining star of this season. Nobody knew of him before this season, and now he's almost their top scorer. Gerard Moreno is back from injury. Samuel Chukwueze is progressing well. Nicholas Jackson is coming from the B team. So Arnaud Danjuma, if he goes now, it will not be as big of a blow as it would have been if he went in the summer, because then he was the last season's main top scorer for the club and in the Champions League for them. scoring goals in vital games, being very good. But his first half of the season has been a disappointment, mostly because he has been unlucky with injuries, hamstring injuries, which he came too early back from the first time, and then he got injured again. So it hasn't really clicked for him. And I also think that when he came from Bournemouth to Villareal, he thought as Villareal as a stepping stone, as a stepping club, as many players before him has seen Villareal as. So I think his main motivation now, being in London for several days, is to find a Premier League club. But if there are no Premier League clubs that A, pay what Villareal wants, or B, want to get Danjuma, I think Ajax can be a very good, replacement for him. Obviously, with the Dutch link and with, I don't know, I've seen enough Ajax this season to know that Lucas Ocampos going back to Sevilla, I don't think you're crying about that, but it will make a spot in the first team squad available for him, I guess.
Yeah, let me ask you a question about that, right? Because you've seen, of course, Villareal, and you've seen Danjuma play a lot there. What do you think is his best position, and which other positions can he play? Because that's an issue for us at Ajax. We have Bergwijn, we have Tadic, both best being a left winger.
Yeah.
Can he play another role at Ajax, hypothetically, if we get him?
Yeah, he can. He's versatile. He can play in different positions. But his best position, or where he performed best in Villareal, was from the left side, driving in, of course. Yeah, exactly. But also, Bergwijn sometimes go behind the defense. Tadic never. But he is a type of guy that has a lot of pace, and he can stretch the opponent. He can be a guy to play through balls on, and he can also be the guy that plays a through ball if you have a real number 9 in front of him. He can also play as one of 2 strikers, also as a 10. It's like once again, it depends on what the coach want, what Ajax want, how they want to play. But of course, if they get Danjuma, they will have a player that got double-digit in La Liga last season, who performed very well in the Champions League, who was tremendous in his last season in Championship for Bournemouth. So that will be a very good signing, also making some more options available during the game. He can play as a left winger, he can also play on the right as a 10 and as one of 2 strikers.
What is his current fitness level right now? Do you know?
Not perfect, because he has not played any 90 minutes, I think, this season because of the injury problems we talked about earlier. Yeah. Some games coming on from the bench when he played from the start, subbed off the 65-70. But I think that has always been the plan because of the way he was rushed too soon back into action. I think it was in October he were to be back the first time, but then I think it was the 3rd or 4th training session, the last one before a game where the intensity was higher, and he just pulled up another time. So I think they have been very, very gentle with the way he's been coming back now. And I think he also knows that this is a January transfer market. This window is very important for him, either to just get back into shape and perform for Villareal if he stays, or he needs to be fit if he is to surpass a medical test.
I have a question, Peter, because we have, like Juan said, already a few left wingers in Tadic and Bergwijn. And Bergwijn is pretty predictable, you know. He tries to go to his right foot and cuts inside and tries to go for the shot mainly. I know Danjuma is right-footed, right?
Yeah.
How is he with his weaker foot? Is he able to, reach the back line and give also a cross with his weaker foot, or is he the same as a Bergwijn, like I just explained?
He's quite similar to Bergwijn, but he also has the capacity to go outside the back. Not so often to cross. That is mainly because when Villareal play, they very seldom have a big number 9 in the box, so there is no one to put the crosses into. But he's very good at combining with his feet. So you have the inner midfielders coming into the box, and you have Danjuma very often just letting the ball go and continuing his run down to the down to the goal line, and very often in good position to cut the ball inside 45 degrees for another midfielder or the opposite winger to come in. So he's a very good player when it comes to combining. He's very good at building relations with his teammates, because when he came to Villareal, in his first game, second game, third game, it looked like he had already been there for 2-3 years. So that's his main strength, I will say, the way he handles the ball and the way he acts with his teammates.
Cool. Juan, if I may, I want to ask one more question about Rulli, because if Petter is willing to answer it. I saw him now for 2 matches. And one thing that concerns me a little bit, like you said before, he's not the tallest goalkeeper, but he probably is quite athletic. How is his coming out of his area quality, with long crosses and with corner kicks? Because for me, he looked a little bit unstable in that area as far as I could judge in those 2 matches that I saw him. And with us having a problem with sometimes height of the defenders able to win the duels, you have to have a dominant goalkeeper who commands his area and can get that ball, with a long cross or with the corner. How is your view on this in this area about Rulli?
As you intend to describe here, he is not the guy who owns the box when the crosses comes. He's nowhere near that type of goalkeeper. What he normally does well is to the decision making. Should I stay or should I go? I will presume that it lies in a human nature to try to convince everyone around him when he goes to a new club that I can do this, I can do that. But sometimes it's more important to show that you cannot do that, if you know what I mean. So I think what will kind of look like uncertainty might be just a way of not getting into situations where he can look bad. But of course, if I guess that all opponents of Ajax will know that they have a new goalkeeper and they will analyze how he has been playing behind or between the sticks in Villareal, of course they will know that. So I guess that when Rulli is in the goal, that will be a thing for the opponent to maybe get an advantage of and maybe put many crosses into the box. And I have, like I said, I have very good memories of Geronimo Rulli. When he left as a hero because of what he did with the Europa League pokal against United, the only trophy in the history of the club, where he made the save and he scored the penalty goal himself. But the worst memory I have from him is, like you said now, going out from his area, because you have 2 types of situations where goalkeepers can come out from their 6-yard box. It's either on set pieces or when there are many people in the area. That is an issue for him. But you also have that when you need to make a decision: should I go out from my area to get that through ball, or should I stay and let the defender do his job? That's his main issue, because he's very, very eager to get out of the box and to win those duels or get the ball before there is a duel. And I still have memories about Atletico Madrid Villareal last season when he came out of the box, 95-34 on the clock. Villareal were leading 2-1. Duel on 25 meters, and he was going out, standing on 20, ready to head the ball. And Aizamendi headed the ball towards the goal, but Rulli wasn't there. He was outside.
Does this result in a few red cards? The coming out of his area and he have to foul somebody, or those cards are limited for him?
No, I think they're limited. I think it was sent off once, and that was it was kind of a situation like that. But he handled the ball because he missed the 18-yard box.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you, Petter. I have one final question about Rulli. So he's leaving as a hero. If you're comparing him with other La Liga goalkeepers, right? would you consider him a top 5 goalkeeper? I mean, in general, in La Liga.
Yeah, around there. In my head, Thibaut Courtois, Marc-André ter Stegen, Jan Oblak is the number 3, and then you have a pool of 4 or 5 goalkeepers. Maybe the Valencia goalkeeper Mamardashvili, who is a big favorite of mine. You also have Aitor Fernandez, and you have Unai Simon, the Spanish goalkeeper from the national team. But yeah, 5 or 6 maybe. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I think that's it. We took more than 15 minutes, 20 minutes that we agreed upon, but thank you so much for taking the time to answer.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Yep. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Peter. All right, guys. So that was Rulli. Are you guys feeling confident or not confident after this talk?
I'm confident. Still confident. Definitely. No reason. Although Ajax came with such a question that it almost backfired, but nah.
No, but bro, seriously, if you look at those 2 matches, he didn't look comfortable for me coming out of his area. And this is something that we desperately also need in a goalkeeper, because we do not have those tall center backs that can easily have the ball.
That's true.
So I'd rather have the truth than that we do not touch upon it.
No, but we already knew it. I mean, it's not a goalie who has all only has the good things and not the bad things. I mean, it's something that we need to take into account. But at least we have a new goalie, which was needed. And let's move on, man.
Let's move on. Papimento, before we move on, you're very silent. Are you happy or not happy what you heard?
Look, I have to see more of him, but what I saw is that he's very comfortable with his feet, what I liked. And, Villareal, they played at a very high level for the last couple of years. So it's not a keeper without any experience. And I think Ajax can benefit from him. I just don't think the situation in which he came to be the first keeper, and we will touch upon that, how our coach decided to treat Pasveer in the whole process and things like that. It bothers me, but of course, I think he could be useful, and he has experience to lead the young team in front of him. So definitely.
I think the ultimate test will be this Sunday, right? We will see.
That's the real test.
How he is in the Kuip. So we'll touch upon Feyenoord later in the stream. But guys, so before we talk about Feyenoord, we have to talk about something else. There's been an interview with Daily Blind. There's been an interview with Tadic. There's been an interview last week with Huntelaar. And if we go all the way back to last month, there was an interview with Van der Sar as well. So different Dutch, Dutch newspapers came with different interviews of different Ajax people, and they all had something to say. Now, to make things easier, we're going to split the topics in 2. We're going to talk about first Van der Sar's interview, Huntelaar's interview, and Tadic's interview about Ajax in general, what they said about Ajax and your opinions on this. And then we'll move a little bit to the second one, which is very focused on Blind. So what Huntelaar said about the situation with Blind, and then Blind came out yesterday, basically, bombing us basically with his side of the story. So I will start with Ajax because he's wearing the "everything is going to be all right" shirt, so he can start saying what he thinks about the interviews that we have been reading from Van der Sar, starting Van der Sar, Huntelaar, and then Tadic. So if you look all these articles, Ajax, what's your impression of what they're trying to communicate to the fans, to the outside world?
Yeah, one common thing in those interviews is that we need to stand behind the team, and that a lot of players left, and it's difficult. Tadic was talking about 13 players, I think, left. It's difficult for the team to, cover this in the situation that we are in. So they are all saying, stand behind the team, support the team. It's a process we are in. But it's also a little bit for me covering your own ass, what all the people and players are saying. So I think it's an easy remark to make towards your fans, like stand behind the team. Of course, we try to stand behind the team. We want our team to win, We want our team to get those 3 points, even with a bad coach at the helm. But it's too easy to calm down the fans, like Video Yo-Yo just remarked now. Calm down the fans with those words, because you have to show it on the pitch, and you also have to show it at the level of the directors, that you are comfortable and that you know what you are doing. So I think this is the common thing throughout those interviews. But that was the main thing that I saw in the interviews. There were more things discussed, in depth, but that was the one thing for me that was common.
Yeah, Papimento, what's your view on these interviews that we read?
I mean, the common denominator is we have 13 new players, so we have to be patient, and it will be all right. But I just think, Juan, they made a lot of bad choices in what kind of players they brought in. I'm not seeing the type of football at Ajax that we are used to. We like technical players. We got players in the back that can't even pass to each other. So, they set us back. We had a very successful couple of years, and with these kind of transfers, you're going to set us back for many years before we get back to where we were, because these are not the type of players that should be at Ajax. And they are saying, keep calm and get behind us. But I can get behind you, but show me Ajax football first, because I cannot watch just people shooting the ball forward and hoping for a goal. No, I want to see the Ajax way of playing, and that's not what I'm seeing. I don't see a good press. I see a lot of room between the lines in the team. So what am I going to stand behind? I know that every game from now until the end of the season will be hard, will be a tough game, because we're not good at building up. We're not creating many chances, and freaking Schreuder is not making the right decisions. So what do you? I mean, yeah, I can get behind it, but what do you want? I mean, I'm not happy about the way things are going, and they're not putting also the blame on themselves. Like, we made some mistakes in the transfers. Of course, they're not going to say it, but the transfers that came in are not adequate Ajax level, Juan. And how do you get behind that?
Yeah, but then I'm going to you, Sahbi, for this one. What they all say as well, it takes time. How much time, Sahbi? How much time should we give Ajax to recuperate from selling, as Tadi said, like 13 players left in the summer?
Yeah.
So how patient should we be as fans, in your opinion?
In my view, the time has already passed. Months ago, it passed when we couldn't see any development, any identity, any attacking play, no Ajax play at all since I think September, October. So and the huge losses in the Champions League, the many points that we lost in combination with the way we play. Because if we play great football, or try to play great football, like there's a clear identity, and we lose points, then okay, I can accept that, because we try to do something. We see that we try to do something. The same applied for Boss when we first started. I mean, we lost points at the start, but we did see something from Boss that he wants to implement. With Schreuder, now we are 6 months further or even more. I still don't see what he tries to achieve with this team. And that worries me a lot. So how much time do we have to give? In my view, no time, especially Schreuder. But what I miss a lot in those interviews, for example, because I totally agree with Eyejax and Papimento, but I also miss some self-reflection from these individuals. Van der Sar only telling calm down, 13 players, but did he state something about what could have done better by management or by himself? Schreuder, he sees every game as positive. I mean, totally no self-reflection on how bad we played, and so disappointing in that area. And Huntelaar, I mean, some say it was difficult, he's new, etc., but he can also look himself in the mirror and state that he could have done better, even though, because they were with the two of them, Van der Sar stating, well, Hamstra was already 1 year working with Overmars, so he had already experience also with other clubs. So it's like finger pointing and no self-reflection, and that's what I miss. as a general.
If I can touch upon one thing, Juan, you know what bothers me a lot is they are all covering each other's asses, and they are not taking responsibility for certain stuff that is happening the last 6 months. Huntelaar even stated that the heart of Ajax was gone, with Overmars being at the helm for almost 10 years, working closely together with Ten Hag and having easier decision-making process than now, because they didn't need to discuss with so many levels within the club to agree on something. And I believe that's true. But I think it's too easy to state it takes time, the players need to gel in. That's true. But the amount of players we bought, the rumors are that we ignored the scouting a lot with a lot of signings. And now those signings cost us a lot of money. Look at Ocampos, for example, almost 8 million for a player that didn't even almost play. Bessie, 25 million, and so on and so on. But you can see that those players simply do not have the quality to do certain stuff. And for that amount of money, you should have a talent that can have the process that he needs to gel in and it takes a while. Or you need to buy somebody that is easily implemented within your squad. You cannot tell me that you pay 25 million, for example, for a Bessie that cannot even play a normal pass. There is a level that you need to grow and that you get used to, but not playing simple passes to the left or to the right without even being pressed. This is just a lack of quality. And for me, this is like covering your own ass because you didn't rely on the scouting. You made decisions within the board of directors, probably, the directors, and with Schreuder. And now they are saying they need time. No, you ignored your scouting system. You made decisions to buy certain players. They are not clicking. They are not delivering. So take responsibility for it. And this is something that bothers me a lot, because if you rely on your scouting system, things probably would have gone a different way, because Overmars did rely on the scouting those years, and he proved that that worked. So why change that?
Yeah. They still ignore it. They still ignore it about the scouting.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, I mean, with Van der Sar...
Also,
go ahead.
Yeah.
No, go ahead, Papi. Go.
Also, the players that came in, man. I mean, I'm thinking at this point, like maybe Bas or Regeer would have been a better choice. With them, I could give them the time. You know, those are youth players. I would give them the time. But if you buy players for 5 million outside of Ajax, you know, from Mexico, Sanchez or Bassi, you expect a surplus on quality, right?
Yeah.
It didn't happen. So what patience are you expecting from me, Juan? That's the whole question to Ajax. Like, what patience?
Not me. I would ask you for patience, right?
No, but if
they made the bad decisions and we have to be patient,
if our dear Edwin is asking for patience, you know, and even the players asked to sit with him and to have a conversation with him twice, and he was like, "Fuck it, I'm just going to vacation and I will be back afterwards." Why is he asking us as fans to be patient? But he is too lazy to even sit down with his players, you know. It's not, no, just no.
Yeah, I want to ask. Yeah, go ahead.
Maybe we're blaming also the players too much. Maybe the coach is not making them better. It's hard to see like where the problems are lying. But as a team, we're not clicking whatsoever, and it's hard to say like, okay, just an individual player would make it much better, because we also have Schreuder to consider and to contend with.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you guys about Schreuder and the situation also in relation to the board, to Huntelaar and of course Van der Sar, because we're touching upon them and they gave an interview. But Sahbi was trying to say something, so I don't want to ignore Sahbi, of course.
No. I just want to add on what Ajax said, the fact that everybody's covering their ass, because if Schreuder would have been sacked, it's basically Van der Sar digging his own grave. And that's something that he doesn't want to do. He even extended. So, yeah, he tries to protect him for the wrong reasons.
Okay. Look, we're talking about transfers a lot, right? And the players that we got in. So we know that we lost a lot of players. And the players that came in so far, they're not been good. Let's put it this way. But on the other hand, how much should we segregate between what Schreuder is doing and what the board has been doing? Because the players that came in, how much can we blame Schreuder for this?
A lot.
A lot.
A lot.
Why?
He must have a say.
Bro, the Bessie, for example, is out of his head, from his management. He already wanted him at Club Brugge.
But why is that? But why is that?
I don't know, because he thinks probably that it is a great player, but he is not a scout, He is even not a good trainer. So him making the decisions, this is the player I want, that bothers me. And for example, Marcel Keizer got sacked for way less than Schreuder now already has done with the team. If we now start relying still on Schreuder and he still has a big say on who he wants or who he doesn't want for the coming transfer window that we are in still, and we rely on this and we sack him maybe 1 or 2 weeks after because the results aren't there, then you are stuck with even more players that he recommended that he wants to implement within the team. And for me, even if you get some better players now, if you have a coach that is not able to rally the troops and has a real identity on how he wants to play, it isn't going to work.
I understand. But wait, just a minute, because I'm trying to structure a little bit this argumentation, because we're talking about what Schreuder does on the pitch. That's a separate topic. But I want to go back to the players, the recruitment. So you're saying, and I agree with you, he had a big say in the summer. We know that the scouting was ignored, basically. Yeah. Who's responsible for that? Who's responsible for saying yes to what Schreuder wants? Who's responsible for ignoring the scouting?
In the end, the directors, because they have the final say.
Exactly. And where I'm heading with this... Wait a minute.
We're talking about also RVC that blocked Ocampo's transfer. So
the supervisory board. Yes, but hold on. Yeah, exactly. But the supervisory board is basically Papimento, last resort. They're the last ones checking, making, the checks and balances. Okay, coming back to what I'm trying to ask. The responsibility of the recruitment lies with a couple of other people. Okay. Then Schreuder didn't want, we know the story, Lisandro Martinez to leave, Anthony to leave, all these players to leave. They left. Then, if you look at this interview, after the, Excelsior game that we won, he flipped basically. He said, more or less, he said, we didn't have anything ready basically for these amount of players that left. If you look only at this, and I know I'm going to trigger a lot of people, but only looking at the recruitment and stuff, doesn't Van der Sar and maybe to a lesser extent Huntelaar, but Hamstra as well, put him in a difficult situation in terms of the players that he has inherited as a squad right now?
Yeah.
Do you guys agree
does
with that?
feel imbalanced. Yeah, it does feel imbalanced.
Okay.
100%. Yeah.
No,
I don't think that any other coach would do it much better with this material.
Bro, if I may answer,
go ahead.
Which coach within the Ajax history for the last 10, 15 years or something had so much money to spend in this transfer window?
But that's not the question. The question is the
quality of the players. It is, because yes, he is in a difficult situation. No, hold on.
The quality of the players that came in, what other coach would do better with this kind of quality, with this back?
Yeah, but that's not the question, bro. Let me explain.
So that is the question.
He had a few players left within the squad that he needs to cope with. But he had a big say on what to do with the money spent. He had a big say which players he wanted to come into Ajax. So he chose for a Bessie for 25 million. He was one of the people that wanted Ocampos, I believe. He wanted Grealish that he's not using. He chose for a lot of players that he's not even utilizing. So the way that he spent his money, another coach would have made different decisions probably. So yes, it's also partly on him.
Yeah, I understand that. But the reason, and he said that during the interview, the Excelsior interview, the famous one, he said that yes, he had a say and his agent also had a say and worked on getting players in because Ajax was not ready to sign players for the ones that left. So basically, indirectly, he's saying there was nothing ready at that time and he had to act quickly. That's what he's saying. I'm not saying
they ignored the scouting.
Yeah, but the fact that he's...
Yeah, but this is... ignoring the scouting, should we blame Schreuder for that?
Yes, because partly also the directors, because if they think the quality is not sufficient enough on the list for when players leave, you also have a shadow list on certain positions of players that you scouted that are interesting to sign when somebody leaves. If they decide they think that's not enough quality, then they can say, yes, there was nothing ready. But if you do not rely on your scouting and you just ignore it, are they not ready? Or do you think that they are not good enough? This is a totally different thing.
Basically, in a nutshell, he is also accountable in your eyes. Schreuder is accountable also for the recruitment and what he has on the pitch right now.
Partly,
not
yes.
Not in general for the recruitment, but for this recruitment.
This time,
Yes.
This recruitment. I mean, he had a say. Of course, many players left. It's clear. The scouting didn't work. I don't know. I don't care. Technical director wasn't available. However, he had 100 million euros available, like a pot of gold. And what does he? What was he doing? Buying Bessie because it was his player. Going for Ocampos because it was his player. Getting in Grealish because it was his player. It was his choice. Maybe the technical director is accountable for accepting this, but eventually it was they were his players, and he's not utilizing them at all, or they're not playing in their best position, or they are not making him better, or they're not even Ajax players.
Okay.
So
Look,
who's
Ajax
to
should
blame?
have
It
never-
was
yeah.
his choices. Clear.
Look, Ajax anticipated very bad, so it's not all Schreuder's fault. I'm not saying that whatsoever. But the board could have anticipated Gravenberg leaving, could have anticipated Mazraoui leaving, could have anticipated Anthony and Martinez leaving, because basically everybody knew that would be their last season and they would want to move to a different club. So they could have anticipated much better. And to be honest, it's Van der Sar that agreed with the 100 million for Anthony to go, right?
Okay.
So,
So coming back, we're talking about recruitment, right? In your eyes, Sahbi, Ajax, Papimento, Schreuder is at least 50% accountable for what we had or what we brought in the summer. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying like not 100%, but probably around 70% or something.
70%. Because
I go for 80%.
no.
all right, the reason why I'm asking this, guys, is because
No, but
this is a feeling. I'm guessing here, right? The feeling, I think, that Huntelaar came with that interview, and Van der Sar came up with an interview, and Tadic came with an interview, basically saying we need time. A lot of players left, etc., etc. They all had the same message, basically. Is because Tadic is a little bit different, but I think Van der Sar and Huntelaar, at least, they basically feel guilty. I think they feel guilty towards Schreuder for what happened.
yeah, they should. They should.
Everybody should feel guilty.
I mean,
But
that's
Schreuder as
that's
well,
that's
so-
the 30%. That's the 30% that's on them. But the 70 is on Schreuder.
No.
I mean,
No,
It
man,
was
I don't agree.
70,
I don't agree.
70
Nah,
is on the board and 30 is on Schreuder, I would say. But okay.
no, definitely more than 50.
Look, Van der Sar and everyone, they appointed Schreuder. They said yes to basically the recruitment, everything that went on in the summer. They had the final say. Van der Sar is the one that decides, basically, together with the supervisory board and these kind of things. And then, on top of that, all the results that has been going on, everything that has happened, there was an evaluation after the Emma game. We don't know what was evaluated or assessed because we haven't seen any change, basically. And now we haven't won a lot of games. We have Feyenoord. And honestly, guys, if I'm very honest about this, even if we lose against Feyenoord, I don't think anything is going to happen.
No, I'm
Because,
not.
you cannot say in an interview altogether, yeah, we need time, everything is fine, we want the fans to back up.
Wait.
And then,
Wait for it. Once we lose against Feyenoord, if we lose against Feyenoord, the bus arrives back to Amsterdam, now wait and see what the fans fans are
Exactly.
going to do. Wait for
You
it.
can keep the fans calm for a little bit, but that's not going to happen for many more games.
And
so basically all the words, from Van der Sar and Huntelaar doesn't mean anything because it's fresh still. If Schreuder has to leave, I mean, I'm not questioning whether Schreuder should leave, yes or no. I'm just saying they're backing Schreuder. Basically, they're saying we need time. A lot of players left. The squad has to be built. These kind of things.
They're backing themselves.
maybe they're backing the players and not Schreuder indirectly. Like
Yeah, but
they
not-
need the players need time, but
They're not gonna come
Schreuder
out and say
doesn't
those players are bad.
improve those
You're not gonna do
players
that. Yeah.
in a way that it should.
Not only this, it's like Video Yo-Yo said, it's damage control. Because if you agree with your coach that he is still at the helm for a few more games, you're not going to say like we are doubting him, we think he's doing a bad job, because that is just not acceptable. You
Yeah.
cannot say that towards the world, you know, like, okay, he's still our coach, but we're not that happy with him, but he's still remaining the coach for a few more games. So up until the point that he gets sacked, they probably to the world, you know, to the people not inside Ajax, they will state that they are behind the coach. It's just football 101, you know. This always happens.
You see that constantly.
So let me understand this correctly. The red flags were, you know, PSV, Vitesse, Emmen, and everything before that, Napoli, Champions League, all these kind of things. These were red flags. Then we went into a World Cup qualification, 2 months, you know, enough time to reflect, think about what could be better, etc. They had an evaluation. Schreuder said it was a good evaluation. And also, no, I'm serious. And then also, they basically gave him the vote of confidence. And now we're in January. We had 3 games. And if we lose to Feyenoord, you're saying, okay, no, now everything that we evaluated 2 months ago is no longer valid. He has to leave. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, we lost too many points then at the start of the second half. And next to that, it's normal, eh? I mean, you saw that with Ronald Koeman at Barcelona, where the chairman every time after a bad game he said, we had full trust, and then all of a sudden, bam, he got fired. It's the football world, eh? One day you can be very happy about or you can back up a coach. The other day, it's over. And
but for me, it doesn't.
The loss against Feyenoord will come really hard.
For me, it doesn't matter how many players you lose. It's all about what kind of quality you bring in, and that will minimize how far you go back in quality on your team. And actually, I think they overjudged the players that were staying in how much quality they really had, and they didn't do the scouting well. And but also, we're talking about new transfers and things like that. I don't have the trust in the current coach to any transfer that comes in that he would do better with a new transfer. So it's both. You feel stuck from both sides as a fan.
And that's basically the point now. I think the main reason why, besides there's no technical director, the main reason why Ajax hasn't bought in any players yet, because players normally you would strengthen the squad before we start the second half of the season. But I think Ajax wants to wait until Feyenoord, so after the Feyenoord game, or maybe even game after, because if they buy a player right now or multiple players right now, and Schreuder is getting sacked, you will be stuck with players that the coach wanted, and not the next coach. So maybe they want to some sort of damage control, wait for it, and see how it develops. If Schreuder get kicks out, new coach comes in, and then it will be a whole new chapter with players that the new coach really wants.
But the new coach will have 100 million of
probably more.
A little bit less,
I don't know,
because Chico is 5 million, but of players that came in that were not up to Ajax standards. So
we look.
He's going to inherit something bad anyway.
Yeah, look. I just want to say one thing, right? Because we've been critical. A lot of people also on Twitter, social media, and stuff. A lot of people are very critical about the players that we got. And of course, you can see by now, you can see certain players do not have certain qualities and stuff. But in my opinion, this team is underperforming. Because but underperforming in the sense that their qualities are not being utilized fully. So you're laughing, but I'm saying with this team,
who's to blame?
We are right now.
Who's to blame?
Exactly. So,
I'm laughing, but I'm crying.
You're crying inside. You're crying inside, just like everyone.
But in all seriousness, Juan, there are a few things that I need to get off my chest. First of all, the Huntelaar interview, the way Schreuder approaches certain things that are discussed, and he say it was a good evaluation. Within the interview of Huntelaar, I saw him saying it was a turbulent situation in the summer, but I think we did pretty well.
Exactly.
So him stating that him and Hamstra and maybe Van der Sar and Schreuder in certain extent he thought they did pretty well. In which world the current situation of Ajax with the players that came in and are not delivering, and we can see they are just not good enough, can you label that with also the amount of money spent as doing well? Because I think it's far below par. And this you see with all the different people within the current Ajax, with the director in Van der Sar, with Huntelaar stating certain things, with Schreuder always saying he sees good stuff every time it is super bad what happens. He always stays positive. No, I see good things. Things were going well. This bothers me, and I'm now at a certain point that every freaking thing about Schreuder annoys the shit out of me. It's not only how he performs, it's not only what he says in the media with the interviews, his lack of self-reflection. It goes like way further than that. Also the tongue thing he does every time he does an interview or like a press conference, like with the little thing he does with his tongue. Every little thing about this guy annoys me at the moment. So for me, it's almost like if you have to choose, if you lose against Feyenoord but they sack Schreuder, or you get 3 points. I always hope that we as Ajax get 3 points. But if we lose and Schreuder gets sacked, that's a win situation for me also.
Is it?
Personally, yes.
Okay.
For the long term, 100%.
For the long term. Listen, guys, that was the first part. We didn't even touch the second part. The Daley Blind situation, briefly, because we also have to touch upon Feyenoord Ajax this Sunday. Daley Blind. So we heard Huntelaar insinuating basically that, it started with he's not happy, the fans booing him last season, screaming for Nicolas Tagliafico to come in. That was already sitting not so well with the Blind. And then when he found out that the coach started making other choices, that's Huntelaar's statement, then it became too much for Blind, and Blind came with a request right before the World Cup that he wants to leave. So this is Huntelaar's story. But Blind's story is totally different. Totally different. A lot of things that actually, like raise eyebrows, basically. And you guys know my eyebrow. So I just want your opinion on what you guys think about what Daley said, and whether also in terms of timing, guys, we're heading towards Feyenoord. We're in a crisis situation. Do you guys feel like maybe Blind could have held off this interview maybe a week longer? Sahbi?
Yes. Normally I would say yes, but I don't think he is all to blame. I mean, the Huntelaar interview, also bad timing. The Schreuder part where he touched upon that he apologized, that he had to say goodbye to Blind, also bad timing. So it's only throwing mud at each other, and the only losing party is Ajax. Besides them all the individuals are losing. There are no winners at all, but the only one really losing is Ajax, and that hurts me the most. And I do understand Blind. I do understand totally. He wants to react as soon as possible, but in my view, it wouldn't change anything if he would have done this after the game, because I mean, there's no, you could say there's an added value in this, but in my view, there isn't. The interview would come either way. He already said that he would come back to this eventually and he would tell his story. But yeah, in my view, he could have waited.
But but I have to say, Juan, if I put the puzzle together and I analyze all the interviews given since the departure of Blind, I do think, first of all, my respect for Daley grow even more, because if I see what he said in his interview, and also he explained that Ajax pushed for a non-disclosure, something when they departed, when he left the club, that they would not go to the media, both parties, to discuss the problems. And they broke that agreement almost immediately. And all the things that the responsible parties within Ajax are saying are things that are covering their own asses. And if I see the interview that Daley had in the media, he said some specific and certain stuff that happened within the locker room. And the way he spoke towards the manager, that he called him out and, what do you want? you tell us what to do, on the pitch. What is your opinion? Then he got scolded by Schreuder. And he also stated that with Ten Hag, it could have, it was sometimes rough also, but when it was done, it was done. Yeah. And all the things Schreuder did after that thing happened within the locker room, it's so childish to me. Not sending him a text when he got to the World Cup, Everybody else got a text saying that he didn't see him when he tried to say farewell to all the players and the staff. Everybody was there except Schreuder. Ajax planned, that time that he could go to the club and say his farewell to everybody. So him not being there is just so immature. Those things say enough for me. And my respect for Daly grew when I saw what he stated in the media. And I actually believe him. And I'm not believing all the other shit that is being mentioned with all the other parties, to be honest.
Yeah, and on top of that, I just want to mention this because, look, there can be always an issue between a coach and a player, right? But the way it was handled by Schreuder, in my opinion, because even Blind said that he confronted him because Schreuder didn't say anything to him. He was just like moved past, basically, on the bench. Yeah. He went from first choice to fourth choice, basically, and these kind of things. And Blind was trying to understand why this is. And then eventually he said, I had to make a statement after the RKC game. That's one. And not only that, but this is the Schreuder part. We go again to the management part. Nobody, that's what Daily Blind also said, nobody from the management intervened and said, you know what, guys? Blind, listen, you're an Ajax guy. You've been with Ajax since you were 7 years old. You're a child of the club. We have to sort it out. Schreuder, come sit. You're the coach. Be mature about this. What can we do? Can we solve this? This didn't happen. And on top of that, he's not welcome anymore on the training ground. He's not welcome anymore.
Bullshit.
And wait, Schreuder gets confronted by this. I think last week they asked him about this. And his answer was, I don't like players that are not focused anymore because he, of course, wanted to go away, that are not focused on Ajax to be on the pitch anymore because I was frustrated about Kudus and Alvarez and these kind of players in the summer. So I'm like, okay, but this is like apples and oranges. And not only that, but also in the interview, Blind went to train with an amateur club, AFC, because he was trying to stay fit because he couldn't do it at Ajax. I mean,
that's sick,
guys,
bro.
Come on.
But not only this, Juan, he actually stated in the interview that he went to Schreuder, what is quite mature by Blind, if you ask me. Ask him, was it a wrong thing for me to spoke out in the dressing room saying these things? And Schreuder was like, no, it's not a problem. That's not why why things are going now. But and he keeps ignoring him and being childish about it. So Blind actually being mature, approaching the manager face to face, asking him, was it wrong for me, to say something like that? And Schreuder like ignoring that, saying, no, that's not the case. Man. But everything else that he does points toward that it is the case. That sickens me, seriously.
Yeah, man. I'm getting madder by the second I'm hearing this all over again.
But this shows you also, out, man. But this shows you also that the board, the management from the Sar, they chose Schreuder's side. They're backing Schreuder up. That's why I'm trying to tell you guys, of course, everything can be different. And this is a result-based, a sport. So everything depends on how we do. But I still think it wouldn't surprise me after Feyenoord if we don't get a result that he's still going to be our coach.
But there's one thing that you need to take into account, Juan. You said like 10, 15 minutes ago, you said there were already a lot of red flags, But the main difference between that situation back then and now is that we were 1 point behind or 2 points behind the number one, and PSV was even behind us on a goal difference. Now, if we lose against Feyenoord, we're tracking behind eight points or something. And we will be in 5th position, I think.
Probably.
So those things are quite different, If Ajax would have started the second half of the season better, then maybe we will be in the first place at the moment and not at the place we are now. So those things you have to take into consideration also. It's not only more bad results, but the potential to be actually champion at the end of the season is becoming slimmer and slimmer. Like no chance anymore. And these things also count way harder than 1 point behind or 2 points behind.
Yeah.
And don't forget, the Blind situation that suited basically the agenda of Ajax. I mean, if he had to play a minimum amount of games, contract-wise, he had to be extended for one more season, and I think they just found the scapegoat in Schreuder and Blind, and they just took their hands off and let them fight it out, and eventually they thought they would be the winner, but at the end, every fan knows who to blame. Every fan knows who the real Ajax player is. So, in my view, this is a pathetic situation, and we're becoming a joke, not only football-wise, but also from a management perspective.
I just don't understand that a coach goes into the dressing room and asks the players what kind of pressing do you want to
Exactly.
do, and then the player asks him what do you want to do, and then he gets pissed.
And he's saying something like, "You shut the fuck up, you sit down," you know.
Yeah.
Then you're being the harsh guy that can't make decisions, you know. No,
And
it's
this
not
is
sitting
not
well
the
with
only
me.
mistake he made. Like, with Pasveer, bringing in Rulli, not even telling Pasveer he's going to lose his position. Saying that he talked in the beginning of the season, because Valentine Driessen admitted that that he talked at the beginning of the season that Tadic and Blind would be rotational players, which Blind also said that was not the case.
Yeah.
Because he wanted me to play left back, he wanted me to play central defensive midfielder or
Yeah.
center back. All those options were available to me, and he wanted me to see in every game which position would be better.
But
All these lies and all these, something is really rotten within our club, and it's really pissing me off.
But like him being benched and getting rotated out more, I can understand this. We've been stating this for almost 1.5 seasons now. So
we agree
this
upon.
is something aside, but the way it went
got
down
treated.
and the way he got treated, that doesn't sit well with me. Because he's still a legend of our club. He's a child of the club. The way they handled him, and I'm saying they, not only Schreuder, but also the Van der Sar and our other peoples involved, you know? You just don't do that with a player that won 7 or 8 championships with you, you know? That's not the way you treat a child of the club. This doesn't sit well with me, but my respect for Daly as a person and as an Ajax only grew when I saw his interview. Because, they should have treated him way better than this.
Yeah, absolutely. Sahbi, you wanted to say something? Then we move to Feyenoord, guys.
No. Go ahead, man. I'm Feyenoord part. Bring it on.
Feyenoord part. You can take this one. So Sunday, Feyenoord. First of all, I want to ask all of you and also the people in the community, the ones still watching, what do you guys think? Are you guys confident? That's one. Second of all, prediction. Third of all, how would you play? So your starting 11. I would be interested to hear all three of you. Sahbi, you take it away first.
Okay. Difficult one. I would start with Rulli, of course. Right back. I don't know whether he's fit or not because he was injured. I would start with Regeer as right back.
Okay.
Because I see him. I don't see Sanchez as a better player than Regeer.
But wait, you would put Regeer in perhaps the most important game of the season in the Kuip, hostile environment. You would put Regeer in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I don't see Sanchez as a better player than Regeer.
Okay.
And I would always choose for a youth academy player than because if Reg was available, I would put in Wrench, but he isn't. So Regeer. Center back Timber Alvarez. Left back I would put in Bessie. Because Vandal's still not in form. I would give him some minutes, but for me, although both defenders are not that great, I would give the benefit of the doubt to Bessie. In midfield, I would play with Taylor, Berghuis, and Kudus. I'm trying to get more football in midfield because I know 100% for sure that Feyenoord will pressure us all the way in our own half. So we need footballers to get out of that midfield pressing or the defense pressing, and a really defensive-minded, not footballing midfielder would be a waste because we will not be. I don't think we will be able to build up the play that often during that game. They will pressure us. Arne Slot is a real tactician. He knows how to pressure us, and we will need footballers in that area.
Okay.
And in attack, I will play Brobbey striker position, Conceição as a right winger, and start with Tadic and Bergwijn on the bench, coming in, of course, for Tadic, and not having Tadic going to the right side or any other position.
Okay. All right. Predictions? Confidence?
Not a lot of confidence in the team, but I have confidence in Rulli, so I go for a 1-1.
Okay.
I'm always going to predict the win for Ajax, so 1-2. But
You're
I
always
would
going to lose.
I would set up totally Mourinho style, Catenaccio, hopefully one counter or two, and then let them build up. Let them come to us, set up very deep in our half, and hope for a Brobbey or a Chico.
Wait a minute, Puppy. You were talking about you want to see the Ajax style of play. You missed that Ajax style of play.
The players.
Even though you lose Ajax style of play, and now you want to play Catenaccio? Come on, man.
Look, Sahbi, I don't see it. I don't see with the players we have currently that we can do it. Even if we play Regeer or Baas, we will be vulnerable because they're not used to play at that level. What you can do maybe is put Taylor in or something on a back position to get more football. But that's defensively he's not there. So yeah, no, I would set up just not to lose that game and hope for a counter from Brobbey or Chico or something like that. But I don't think we can go to toe-to-toe. And if we're going to give the amount of space we gave away in the last game, Feyenoord is going to win easily. So why give him that space so easily?
Okay, interesting. What was your prediction, Papimento?
2-1 for Ajax.
Okay. Ajax, take it away.
I have one question because I don't know what the status is, to be honest, with Wrench. Is he able to play this weekend?
He's suspended. He had the red
card.
He
is suspended, but is he fit again? Or
don't know.
We don't know. Okay, then it will be a difficult situation with the backs. I would opt for the same. Actually, I had the same thing in mind with the defenders as Sahbi said with Timber and Alvarez. I would like to see them both in the defense because I think it's more solid. I would play probably with Bessie, and because of a lack of a better choice, Sanchez on the right, Bessie on the left. For me, I think it's great if he's fit. I think he is to play with Grealish and with Berghuis next to him. Then you have a little bit more defense in front of the defenders and somebody who can really play ball next to him. Then go with Kudus as a 10. Chico as a right winger, Tadic as a left winger, and Brobbey as a striker. And the reason that I'm choosing for a more defensive option, because I want to switch Alvarez to the back, is that we think it will be a high-intensity game. You will have a lot of fighting within the midfield, and you cannot cope with only footballing type of players in those positions. So either you choose for a Grealish as a central defender and Alvarez as a pivot, or the other way around. And I think Grealish is a little bit better building up the play passing wise than Alvarez is. Alvarez is more of a pure defender kind of player, and he played in that position also a lot of times before. So you have to have some balance. And I think if you play with Taylor, Berghuis, and Kudus, that you get overrun against the midfield of Feyenoord. So you have to do a little bit of a concession there, but I'm not wanting to play like Papi said. That is too much of a concession to make as a team, like falling back Catenaccio and waiting for a counter. My way to alter it is to build in that balance. And of course, I want to play with Taylor and Berghuis, but that's not an option for that game.
I don't expect a lot of space. I don't expect a lot of space in between the last line of Ajax and the last line of Feyenoord. So to have a defensive-minded midfielder, in my view, a defensive-minded would be a waste because it's high intensity, but I don't think there will be a lot of running in midfield.
But Sahbi, originally, historically, matches between Ajax and Feyenoord are high-intensity matches, also fighting-wise. A lot of fouls, a lot of harsh duels. And if you play with Taylor and Berghuis and Kudus, You do not have the physique to cover certain duels in the midfield. And with the Grealish, he's a little bit stronger and a little bit more. That's my choice. That's why I choose him.
Historically, I agree with you. Historically, but this is a different Ajax than years.
But you can expect the same Feyenoord. You know what did they always say about Feyenoord? The level is maybe not that great, but they always go full force.
And that's why, in my view, you need footballers to avoid that. Because you won't win that. You won't win. You need footballers to
by the way,
avoid that type of play.
I think Edson in the back line would be, if we play a high line with Edson in the back, that's also going to be a big problem. So even that is worrisome for me. So
do you want who do you want instead of Alvarez then? Do you want to play Bessie there?
I would choose
available.
I would choose center. Yes.
No way, man.
Don't let
him do the build up, but you cannot deny he can take away like one-on-one. He's a good defender.
If you play with Bessie and in front of him Alvarez, you're going to have problems. Who is going to build up the play
and hope for the one goal?
Who's going to build up the play?
Line with Edson.
Yeah.
So you both go for Wijndal on the left back.
Yeah,
I would. I honestly think. Look, you're talking about Grealish. I understand the reasoning behind that, but first of all, we don't even know if Grealish can play because he's been injured. I don't even know he's fit enough to play. So that's
even fit. I don't think he will play. He will give him minutes at the start.
Exactly. He hasn't played a lot. Also, in the 2 months that we were off, I remember the Telstar game. He came in and then he went out again. So I don't think he will use him for that particular game. And then, look, Bassi, you can say whatever you want, but we started in the season with Bassi as a center back. And yes, he has deficiencies in terms of building up the play. But let's not pretend that he cannot do anything, because the fact is he's a very good defender. One-on-one, he's a good defender. If you're going to play high line, he's the one that you need, and not Alvarez. Honestly. Alvarez is also a good build-up player. So
do you expect us in the current form that we are in to play a high line in
exactly? How can you come up with playing high line?
Wait a minute.
The arrogance of Schreuder, yes.
Wait a minute. How can let's see. But you have to play a high line. The reason for that being you have to keep the field, the pitch, the players close. You have to keep a small play. Exactly. If you don't do that, then what happens? Who can tell me what happens if you don't do that?
Yeah, that's all nice in theory, but if you look at the big matches this season, Schreuder wanted to play a high line against Napoli. Schreuder wanted to play a high line against Liverpool. Every time we meet big teams, we get overrun.
Ajax, you watched the Twente game. Why did we play better with 10 than with 11? Tell me.
Because we fall back.
Exactly. We had to fall back. We had to fall back.
Yeah,
exactly.
So that's not playing a high line. A high line is playing way from upfield towards the opponent's goal.
No, but that was not the issue. The issue was not only the high line. The issue was that there was a lot of space in between the lines. That was the issue.
This is like bringing down your own argument, because when we went down to 10 men, we got way closer to our own goal, so we didn't play the high line. When we were up playing the high line, how many chances did we concede? Almost a goal in the first 10 minutes.
But you're saying we're not going to play high line. So basically what Papimento was saying, playing Catenaccio, sitting back deep.
No, there's a difference in the thing I'm saying and what you are saying. I'm not saying that his intent is not to play a high line. His intent is to play a high line. But the reality is we will get overrun by an opponent that is in better form than we are, as same as we were against Napoli, Liverpool, and other teams, that we will try to play a high line, but we get overrun and pressed back to our own half and only playing long balls.
The moment Bessie will receive the ball, the moment Bessie will receive the ball from the goalie or Timber or any defender, Feyenoord will run like hell. There won't be a moment to build up.
But listen, if you give the ball to Alvarez, what will happen then? What's the difference?
The difference is that you have, but really it's maybe not play then. But even with the midfield that Sahbi saying, that's a logical solution if Grealish isn't
helping
there.
Out.
Then you at least have somebody that can build up from both of the pivots. And Alvarez is a way better passer than Bessie is. With all due respect, I know it's not his biggest quality. This is not his biggest quality, but the level between Bessie and Alvarez is still huge, because Bessie is really terrible at building up.
Yeah, but Alvarez's level is huge as a central midfielder, not as a defender. We
But you know
haven't-
that he played a lot in that position in other teams. You know that in the national team he played at that position. At his old club he played that position. Bessie only has like 6 months of experience as a central defender, I believe. So it's not like he's a natural central defender because he's a left back.
Okay,
Originally.
What you're not considering though is we played very deep because we were with 10 man, and then Alvarez can excel. But if we're gonna go attack and Alvarez is on his own mid court of the field, it's gonna be also a difficult thing to defend for Alvarez because he doesn't have the speed to cover
it. It is difficult. It is difficult.
But the same things that you guys are giving as arguments applies to Bessie also. He's not a true central defender. He's a left back. He's a left back.
But
in my
speed,
same as Alvarez as being labeled as a central midfielder.
Guys, hold on. One moment. I'm not saying he's a left back. I'm saying he plays center back because of the fact that he can one-on-one explosiveness, fast, one-on-one defending. Bessie is okay. Let's not pretend.
I have more faith in Alvarez in one-on-one defending than I have in Bessie.
With a high line. I'm
not talking about line with duels. With duels in the central defense position, I have more confidence in Alvarez than I have in Bessie.
Okay, then we differ in opinion on this one. Okay,
but the thing is, Feyenoord won't. It's not a master in building up the play. They're not trying to create or build. They are good at playing at the opponent's half, and that's where the problem lies with Ajax. We can't build up, and they are great in pressing us at the opponent's half. So it's the perfect ingredient for Feyenoord. We are not able to.
Okay, then we just end this discussion and we put Hato and Arce and we're done.
Fine by me.
Okay, so we're done with Bessie and Alvarez. You know, no more at the back line. We start with Arce and Hato and we're done, guys. That's going to be it.
Oh, my prediction?
Yes.
0-5 for Ajax. No, just kidding. I hope for 0-1 for Ajax, guys. But I'm not guessing against my team. But same as what I said with Twente, I do not have a lot of faith.
Hope, bro.
At the
not
moment.
hope. I want realistic. Not what
realistically, we're going
what
to drop
you
some
think.
more points. Realistically, but I'm just saying 0-1.
Yeah, okay, but you can say both. You hope for a 0-1, but what do you really think will happen?
I think we will drop points if it continues like this. But
draw,
let's then say a draw.
Okay,
But I'm hoping for 0-1.
So that's the prediction.
Yeah, that's like being positive.
Yeah.
All right, guys, thank you so much. It's been a very long session this time. Thank you everyone for joining as well. Let's hope for a good result on Sunday, guys. We really need it. Papimento, Ajax, Sahbi, thank you so much. See you with the game talk this weekend and see you next week again on another live stream. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.